Mm. Good morning, Virgo. They are not as subtle as they think they are, not even close. And the slightly endearing, slightly overwhelming, entirely visible reality of someone younger than you trying and failing to conceal the full force of what they feel in your direction is the energy that opens this reading. Not with mystery, not with the slow, careful approach of someone who has learned to manage their feelings before displaying them, with the particular transparency of someone who has not yet fully developed the tools for concealment, who feels things at the surface, who has not spent enough years learning to put distance between what they feel and what shows. And what shows when they are anywhere near you is everything. You have noticed, even if you have been pretending not to. I want to start here in the noticing that you have been doing without acknowledging that you have been doing it. Because you are Virgo, you notice. It is simply what happens when you are in the vicinity of anything. Your perception does not turn off because you have decided it would be more comfortable if it did. It continues registering, filing, building the picture with every additional data point, whether you have given it permission to or not. And the picture it has been building in this direction is very clear. This person is not casual about you, has not been casual about you since whatever the specific moment was when their attention found you and stayed, the moment of their own before and after, their own internal line between not particularly aware of you and completely, helplessly, apparently permanently oriented toward you. That moment happened. And everything since has been them trying with varying degrees of success and mostly less success than they believe to operate normally in your presence. They are not operating normally, and you know it. The first image arrives and it has a quality of almost comic visibility. I see someone trying very hard to look at something other than you, not succeeding, directing their gaze elsewhere at the determined, slightly rigid angle of someone who has made a decision about where their eyes are going to be and is enforcing that decision with conscious effort, and then the drift, the specific and involuntary drift that happens when conscious effort meets genuine feeling and genuine feeling wins. The slow, nearly imperceptible, but absolutely real migration of their attention back to where it keeps returning regardless of instruction. To you, and the moment they realize the drift has happened, the correction, the sudden refocus on the thing they were supposed to be looking at, the slight rearrangement of expression that is designed to look like someone who has simply been minding their own business. It convinces no one, least of all you. And there is something in this image that I want to name directly. The visibility of their feeling is not a flaw in them. It is evidence of the size of it. Feelings that are truly large resist management, resist the containment that more moderate feelings submit to without difficulty. The inability to conceal is, in its own particular way, a measure of the magnitude of what they are carrying. They are carrying something very large in your direction. Let me describe what the obsession looks like specifically. Because obsession in this reading is not the dark, consuming, destabilizing kind that belongs to unhealthy fixation. It is the bright kind. The kind that makes someone more alive, more present, more lit up in a way that is visible to anyone near them. the kind that makes the people around them notice that something has changed, that they are different lately, more energized, more distracted in the pleasant, floaty way of someone whose attention keeps going to a place it is happy to be. They talk about you, not constantly, but more than is casual, in the way that things we are preoccupied with find their way into conversations they were not explicitly invited into. The way your name or a reference to something you said or did surfaces in contexts where it has no particular business surfacing, except that this person's mind keeps going there and the mind's movement eventually shows up in speech. The people around them have noticed. The people around them have probably said something, possibly to them, possibly just to each other. And this person, confronted with the evidence of their own visibility, has done what people do when they are caught, insisted slightly too firmly that it is not what it looks like. It is exactly what it looks like. I want to speak about the age dimension of this because this reading carries it and it deserves honest engagement rather than being sidestepped. There is something specific that happens when someone younger encounters you, Virgo. Not younger in a way that is irrelevant or interchangeable with any other quality. Younger in a way that means they are arriving at you from a different relationship with time and experience and the specific knowledge that comes from having moved through more of life. And what they encounter in you, what they are responding to with such visible and unconcealed intensity, is in significant part a product of that difference. They are encountering someone who knows things they do not yet know, not in the intellectual sense, in the embodied sense. Someone who has moved through enough of life to have a quality of groundedness, of self-possession, of knowing what they are about that exists only on the other side of certain experiences, that cannot be performed or approximated by someone who has not yet lived through the specific curriculum that produced it. And that quality, encountered for what may be the first time in their experience of people they are drawn to, is doing something to them that they do not have adequate prior experience to fully process. It is making them feel in your presence like they are in the presence of something that has more dimension than what they have been working with. More real, more fully itself, more worth orienting toward. They do not have the language for this yet. But the feeling does not wait for language. Tell me in the comments something honestly. How do you feel about this person's attention? Not what you think about it, not what you have decided is the appropriate or reasonable or socially navigable way to receive it. How you actually feel when this specific person's specific quality of obsessive attention is aimed at you. Because I think the answer is more complicated than either a simple welcome or a simple discomfort. I think there is something in the specific quality of being seen this openly, this unguardedly, by someone who has not yet learned to hide what they feel, that does something to you that more practiced and more concealed forms of wanting do not quite replicate. There is something in the rawness of it. Tell me in the comments if I am right about that. I see a second image now, and it has a quality of genuine sweetness that I want to honor without being condescending about it. I see someone preparing not for a presentation or a performance or any of the contexts where preparation is practical, preparing for an ordinary encounter with you. with the specific and slightly disproportionate level of attention to detail that belongs to someone for whom an ordinary encounter with you is not ordinary, who is aware in a way that is touching in its sincerity that they are going to be in your presence, and that being in your presence requires, in their current state of feeling, a quality of being ready that their ordinary daily existence does not require. The thought they give to it, the small adjustments, the particular attention to being the version of themselves that they hope comes across well to someone whose opinion of them, for reasons they might struggle to fully articulate, matters in a way that most people's opinions do not. This is not vanity. This is someone who cares. In the specific, slightly clumsy, not yet polished way of someone who is feeling something genuinely for what might be one of the first times at this depth, who does not yet have the smoothness of someone who has navigated significant feeling many times and knows how to carry it without it showing. It shows, and the showing of it, the unpolished, slightly vulnerable, genuine showing of someone who does not yet know how to hide what they feel, is not nothing. I want to speak now about what you should do with this, not as a directive. You do not need directives, as an honest naming of what this energy is pointing toward for you specifically. There is a version of receiving this person's attention that is tempting, and that this reading wants to gently caution against. The version that treats it as something to be managed, to be gently deflected, to be received with the specific and slightly distancing grace of someone who is being kind about something they have already decided is not quite for them, without fully examining whether that decision is actually based on the full picture of what this is. The caution is not about whether this person is right for you. Only you can know that. The caution is about not deciding based on the age alone, because the age as a number tells you very little about what this person is, about the specific quality of their feeling, about whether what they are offering in the full texture of who they are is something that deserves genuine consideration rather than category dismissal. The reading is asking you to look at the person, not the number attached to the person, and to let what you actually see when you look, which is someone who cannot conceal the full and visible force of what they feel for you, inform a response that is honest rather than managed. The third image arrives, and it is the most direct image in this reading. I see someone standing in front of you, not performing, not working at a presentation of themselves that has been calibrated for your specific reception, just standing there in the full and slightly disarming visibility of someone who cannot produce the cool, controlled, appropriately distanced version of themselves that social convention usually requires in moments of feeling. They are simply there, feeling what they feel in front of you without the armor. Not because they are brave, because they have not yet built the armor, have not yet accumulated the specific experience of being vulnerable and having that vulnerability used as information against them that teaches people to build armor over time, have not yet learned the specific and unfortunately universal lesson that makes adults careful about what they let show. they are still open. In the full and somewhat breathtaking way of someone who has not yet decided that openness is a liability. And what is open in them, standing there in front of you, is all of this: the attention that will not stay where it is directed, the preparation that goes into ordinary encounters, the conversations where your name surfaces without being invited, the full and unconcealed and in its own way completely extraordinary force of what they feel, all of it visible for you to see or to look away from. That choice is yours. I want to close this reading by saying something about what this person's obsession is actually offering you. Not just their feeling, something else. Something that the particular quality of their attention, young and unguarded and completely without the protective management of someone who has learned to conceal, is making available to you that is less common than it should be. The experience of being genuinely, unperformatively, helplessly found, not pursued strategically, found in the specific and slightly overwhelming way of someone who did not plan to feel this way, did not choose to feel this way, cannot find a way to not feel this way, and is therefore confronting you with all of it without the softening of strategy or the protection of concealment. This is a particular experience of being someone that another person cannot help but be drawn to, cannot help but look at, cannot help but think about, cannot help but let show. There is something clarifying about it, about being seen in this unfiltered way by someone who has not yet developed the filters, about having your effect on someone be this visible, this unmanageable on their end. It tells you something, not about whether to proceed, not about whether this specific person and this specific dynamic is where your energy belongs. That is yours to determine with everything you know and everything you are, but about yourself, about the quality of what you carry, about the specific and apparently impossible to miss force of your presence when it lands on someone who is paying attention without protection. You did this to them simply by being you, simply by existing in their vicinity in the full and ordinary and entirely natural quality of your presence. And they have not recovered and cannot hide it, and are not, if you look at them honestly, entirely trying to anymore.